What's up, everybody? It is I, Sigma, and I am joined again by Blue Bones.
What's going on, everybody?
As well as Superman Jeff 12.
Yeah.
And this is episode 7 of the BBET GamesCast. Welcome back. As we do every week, we're going to go ahead and jump right into things. We're going to get started with what we've been playing. Jeff, Blue, anybody want to go first? Anything you're itching to talk about?
Oh, I'll jump. So literally, I played Anthem this morning.
Didn't invite me. All right, cool.
I didn't see you on. You know, you be incognito. I'd be like, you know,
it's cool. It's cool.
Right, Blue always is like invisible online.
Yeah.
And then he'll have the nerve to be like, "Yo, where's everybody at? Come on, like jump in the party." Like,
I'm just saying,
it's like, what party?
You got my number.
You got a party in like an alternate dimension where only certain people can get through if they possess like a 5th level Sharingan, Mayungeki Sharingan or something. So I was like, that's the first thing I do is I'll look at my friends list, see what everybody's playing. It kind of helped me decide what I want to play. And you weren't playing. You weren't even alive. You didn't exist. So, but I did play it. I did a Tyrant Mind Stronghold. I got like two crappy Masterworks. Weren't that great. I broke them down. It was one Masterwork I didn't have, so it was just for the collection. The reason why I went to play this because I saw some YouTube video on the some of the new legendary weapons that are actually in the PTR on PC. That I think they're finally learning how a legendary or an exotic weapon should be. It should be unique. There shouldn't be another weapon that's similar to it. It should be like, this is a legendary, and this is why you get this legendary. There was one that was shooting lightning. You could shoot blades that ricochet through enemies.
Oh my god!
There was another one brand new. Like didn't have anything like that before.
No, nothing. I mean, everything shot bullets. Stuff like shoot this target 3 times and with precision damage, and it'll be an explosion. Stuff like that.
Right.
But they were all basically following that mechanic, or 3 consecutive shots will give you better stability. Stuff like that.
As a legendary / exotic. Yeah, that's kind of whack.
Yes. So that's what was a big problem was people were saying, well, these weapons aren't what you would expect. So I always think about weapons, exotic. I think of them like Diablo or Destiny, where when I got this weapon, you knew you had this weapon. This weapon was, you knew it was an exotic. It was no legendary like this weapon. Right. So I see they're finally learning from that. There was another gun that when you shot lightning out of it, there was one that arced through other enemies. There's another one that when you shoot it, you charge it up, it caused lightning to come from the sky that also struck in that area.
That's dope.
So it's some pretty
that
cool
actually
stuff.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, cool. Some good weapon. So it made me want to go on and play. They're not live yet. I'm trying to find some clarification if the Cataclysm is going to go live Tuesday. Haven't seen anything online definitely yet, but I'm hoping to go back and play that. So I turned that off because I got crap Masterworks. Turn them off. Maybe not want to play. Not only that, Tyrant Mind only got like 2 Masterworks from the boss. I didn't get anything through the rest of it. So I was like, I'm getting off. So I got off. But also, I was playing Assassin's Creed this week. So that's been getting really good. I started one of the quests to fight the Minotaur. You fight this. I do like that they add the whole mythological aspect to it too.
Yeah,
so you can fight like
Origins did a lot of that.
Yeah, right? Like you had the gods.
The boss fights were like,
yeah. So like one of the side bosses, which is like a unique boss, the Minotaur. You got Medusa. So I'm doing some of the DLC stuff now, which is actually pretty cool as well. So I'm hoping this week, because next week the last part of the Atlantis DLC comes out. I'm hoping to finish with the main story so I can start kind of just breezing through that.
Didn't you say last week that they had just released that story editor DLC? Like,
yes.
Is it that close together that these DLCs are coming out?
Well, the story editor wasn't part of the season pass.
Oh, it was an extra thing?
For everybody. They had like episode Sodic DLC where Atlantis had, I think, 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 1, 2, 3. Each episode added new enemies, new story, new weapons, new abilities, stuff like that. So I'm interested to get into that. I mean, they show some pretty unique stuff, so it's going to be really fun. I'm going to post some videos of it once I kind of get a little bit further into it.
Cool.
And that's all I've been playing.
All right, so Blue, did you want to go next?
Yeah.
All right, go right ahead.
So I've been grinding away at Shadowbringers, that new expansion. That story is explosive.
So it's officially out now, Shadowbringers.
Yes, it's officially out. It dropped officially on the 2nd. This story is great. There's a lot of different perspectives. It's not just good versus evil. It's like 4 or 5 factions involved, and they all seem to have legit reasons for fighting, and you have to kind of weave your way through everything. Hats off to Square Enix for doing it right again. I was also playing Anthem this week, right? I did some streams.
And I didn't get no
Jeff.
invite? Oh, okay.
You did. You was on the stream with me. But it was funny because on the 4th, so that was was it Thursday?
Yeah.
I just saw Spider-Man: Far From Home, and I was hyped. If you watch back on the stream, and Jeff couldn't go 2 sentences without me saying something about Spider-Man.
Oh, Bruce.
You know, I actually redesigned my I can call it an infiltrator, interceptor, my interceptor javelin to look like Spider-Man, and I named the thing Spider-Man and Mr. Stark, and we just I said every time I jump in, you have to be like,
he's like
Bruce.
He's like, I was like, we're going to do this. He's like, okay, Mr. Stark. Like,
Mr. Stark. Whenever I started dying, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
That's funny. That is probably the thing that I remember and like the most when I played the beta for Anthem is the customization with the suits. Like you can't really just make them look like whatever.
Yeah.
Especially
I
if
made
it's Iron Man
Wolverine
related.
for my interceptor, and then people were like, you playing Wolverine? I'm like, no, it's Anthem. Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm hoping that they add more body types and different parts. More different parts for these
to make them
javelins
look more unique.
in this next expansion. Yeah, to look a little bit more unique. Right now, it's colors and materials, which is you can do a lot with it, but I'd like to do more.
Yeah, I feel like the attachments, like you said, should have been kind of represented in the visual appearance of them.
Yeah, most definitely. So, those 2 games for the most part, besides all my normals. I do want to bring this up real quick. I was playing Overwatch last night, and I figured out something that stepped up my Widow game like crazy.
Really?
What is it?
So this is what happened. I'm playing.
Wait. Let me get a pen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because you want to see what kills you when we do free for all.
No, because I'm gonna do it. Go ahead.
Okay, so pretty much.
Proceed.
I was playing as Widow. I was just kind of messing around, and I was doing decent, and then my controller started dying, right? And I was like, okay, crap. Okay, next time I die, I'm going to switch myself out. But because my controller started dying, the vibration came off my controller. And when I tell you, I got like 3-4 headshots in a row.
With no vibration?
With no vibration.
Is that because you were under fire, and it didn't cause the controller to jump?
No, there was no... Well, that's the thing, right? When I'm taking the shot and the controller vibrates, it kind of messes up my hand positions on exactly where it was. So now I'm just...
You know what? That makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah. So now there's no feedback, and if I need to correct the error, it's really small adjustments. Like, it stepped up my Widow. I have a really good play of the game that I'm going to post pretty soon. And I look like a Widow main.
Tip? Was that it?
So go to your custom settings, turn off vibration, and for Widowmaker specifically, it's going to step you up.
Gotcha.
So
because I feel like a lot of pro players do that in general. Like they don't play with any kind of rumble
feedback.
effect on. Yeah. Like I know Smash players don't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing at that level. I don't personally feel a difference. I like I like the rumble.
You like to feel the big hits, the boom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So was that all you
Yeah.
have been playing this week? All right,
That's all I
I'll
got.
jump into mine. I took on 2 water related games, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Both of them were for review. I played The Sinking City, which is a game by Frogwares. If you've ever seen like these modern Sherlock Holmes games, like they're the guys who've been doing those, and apparently they've been pretty good. Like I didn't really pay attention to them, but I got assigned this game. It's basically an homage to H.P. Lovecraft type stories. So it's all about, like the macabre, like cosmic entities and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but you play a detective, and you're kind of affected by the Cthulhu-esque monster. Like, they call it something else. I think, like, Katiganar. But you're affected by that monster, and you have visions and stuff, so you go to this place where you feel drawn to try and figure out how to stop the visions. But then you end up kind of getting mixed up in everything that's going on this little island, because they're sitting right on top of the monster. So it's, like, affecting them, like, worse than anybody else.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, it's actually, like, really interesting. And, like, Bloodborne is what taught me that I actually liked Lovecraftian stories. Like, I never cared about, like, horror in general is not my bag. Yeah. But for whatever reason, cosmic horror, like, scratches an itch.
It's interesting.
Like, yeah, it's super interesting to me. And Bloodborne was the first game that I played that was playing in that world that got me into it. So I went to see It. It, you know, is the same thing. That movie, It, the Stephen King movie. And I liked all that stuff. So this, I was like, when I heard, you know, Cthulhu expired, I was like, okay, let me see what this is about. And sure enough, all that stuff is super interesting. The detective gameplay is really interesting. The storytelling, like the characters, the voice work is like really, really top notch. All that stuff is high quality. Jeff, I believe you was actually at the house for a little bit and saw some of the game in action.
I think it was a beautiful game. Like, it reminded me a lot of, to me, it was like no offense to Fallout, it was like a higher tier of Fallout as far as, it looked like Fallout as far as like the interaction with the characters and stuff. Yeah. But the story was like set it apart, but also the interaction with the like, you had it going. It looked like you were getting like different, depending on what clues and stuff you found, is how your interaction with certain characters kind of developed.
Like a really cool thing is like they have this thing called the Mind Palace, which I later found out that it's a holdover from the Sherlock Holmes games, but it's literally just supposed to be like a visual representation of your thought process.
That was in the TV show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so yeah,
so a lot of times he'd be there just like doing nothing, like, oh, he's in his mind palace.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so they literally just lifted that from the Sherlock Holmes stuff.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's like, so it's think of it like how you in the detective shows like Jessica Jones or whatnot, they pin like all the facts up on a board and like the strings going to it. So you don't have the string. Well, you do have the strings. There's like lines on it, but it's like it'll be information. Sometimes it'll be like a picture, but it'll tell you like information about the thing, and then you can pick two things, and then they link to a conclusion. And then you move that conclusion, and then some will have like a little, like a Uno reverse symbol on it, and it'll let you know that there are two ways to interpret this information. You can either go like, oh, this guy has this in his history, I think I can trust him, or this guy did this, so I need to be wary of him or whatever. And then like whichever one you have locked in, the next time you say go talk to that person, like it'll affect the kind of stuff that your character, like the way. But what I learned was even if you do have a certain thing in your head, you can still steer the conversation depending on what they say to you to kind of like, they can actually convince you mid-conversation to go against what you were thinking. So all that stuff was actually super interesting,
bruh.
But the combat and stuff was not. Like,
yeah, I saw that. I was like, because what happens is it was like Fallout minus the VAT system, minus a few other things. Like, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, they're dressed great. I like the New York feel to it. It looks pretty cool. Yeah. But like the combat was like, it left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, it was really, really basic. At worst, it was just really hard to hit enemies because the enemies jump around. Like, they'll be tiny or they'll be fast, and you kind of move like really sluggish, and then like your aim doesn't, like, it's not like generous in terms of auto aim. So you really do have to put your cursor on the thing, and then like as soon as you finally get it on its head, it'll be like ha. Like it'll just jump to the left, jump to the right, whatever. So like, that was really annoying.
It would give you a little dab.
Right. But other than that, I actually really, really enjoyed that game. The ending, I was kind of two minds about it. Like, I get why it ended that way because that's kind of how these stories tend to end. But I kind of wanted more from it. But I really can't be mad when a game leaves you wanting more, you know?
True.
So that was the first thing I took on. And then more recently, I played this game, Sea of Solitude. It was an EA original title. I believe it got some EA stage time last year when they did a press conference. And it released on the 5th. Because I had to do the review the same day, like I downloaded it and at 12 played through the entire game and then wrote the review like within that night.
Wow.
So not a very long game.
Telling me
yeah, like I spent all night working on that review. But the game honestly wasn't worth it. Like there was good ideas there. They were trying to do the thing that Celeste did, where like the focus story-wise is on mental health.
Yeah.
Like it's trying to give you visual and gameplay representations of what it is to struggle with loneliness and anxiety and insecurity and all these kind of real world mental health topics. But it kind of talked about them, but never really made you feel any of it.
Oh, like immersed you in it.
It didn't really do much in terms of gameplay or even the way it told the story to make me connect with anything that was going on. So it was kind of like a picture book, like a shallow picture book, kind of telling me a story. And the gameplay wasn't very deep. You didn't really do much other than kind of run from point A to point B. There's some platforming, but like none of it's difficult. There's no combat at all. You're kind of just avoiding the enemies that are there, and they make you do that kind of thing over and over again. So like it really doesn't evolve. It kind of got really stale, really boring. But music was fantastic. Like
I love good music.
Yeah, I'd probably listen to that game's music soundtrack all on its own. So that is one redeeming quality for it. But other than that, I'd probably advise you stay away from it.
To me, that's a shame because those games I think give people a better understanding of what people go through with disabilities and autism and depression, and it helps them kind of, because a lot of times you can't step into somebody else's shoes, but video games allow you to basically be that person and go through what they're going through.
And and if they're smart with mechanics, they can really give you a representation of what somebody else feels or thinks. They can put you in the shoes in a way that a lot of other things can't do. Another good example is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
I was just about to mention that. I was just about to mention that one.
That game was focusing on schizophrenia.
Yep.
And
the Edith Finch, that was a good game too. If you play that one,
I've been meaning to, but that also dives deep into like mental health and stuff. So there are a bunch of games that have done this kind of thing before and done it well. So it's like Sea of Solitude wanted to be part of that thing, and I feel like they really just didn't understand what it is about those other games that kind of connected them to the thing that they were trying to get at. But if you do want to see the full reviews, the Sinking City is on Gamementary, and Sea of Solitude is going to show up on Escapist. It's going to be the first review from our team on Escapist. So I'm not sure when they're posting that. Maybe Monday.
Big ups to Siggy.
Definitely check that out if you are listening to the podcast, and comment, tell them, oh, this review was amazing, so that I can get some shine on this bigger stage. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. Not anything for my own sake for the most part. But that's gonna do it for topics. Well, for intros, for what we're playing, rather. Sorry, my bad. I'm reading this thing in my brain.
Everything.
But anyway.
That's the podcast.
We're going to move into our topics. I believe the first one Jeff brought up is HBO's new series, Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
What did you want to
Did you guys watch the trailer before I proceed?
Yes.
Yes.
I have.
Aesthetically, it looks amazing.
Agreed.
On point.
Yeah.
For somebody who's watched the movie, who's read the book, it looks like, when I think of Rorschach and who I wanted to be for Halloween as Rorschach, I'm like,
that's the look.
That looks great. The feel of it gives me like that Sin City feel, that dirty down, that gritty, this is going to be good. It looks great. I'm hoping they do more of an original story.
Okay, so you don't want it to be connected to the Zack Snyder movie?
I don't want it to be connected to the Zack Snyder movie. The only reason why is because we know where that's going. Maybe if they do, hopefully it's a prequel before the stuff that happened with the comedian. I mean, it can't. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Watchmen, the movie, or read the book.
It's your fault at this point.
Yes. Now, hopefully this is before all that stuff where heroes got outlawed and stuff like that. A little bit further back. So I think movies and TV shows that go back before the thing that established them, the event that established them, it helps give them more creative room to kind of express what they want to do. For example, we got Star Wars. They go further back. There's so much you could do. Transformers. I would like to see one that happens on Cybertron, like skip, way before we even get to Earth. It kind of gives you so much more to work with. But visually, they look great. I think the story is going to be amazing. I'm waiting for the first episode. Like, I think this is going to be like Game of Thrones level.
Really?
Fandom going on.
I said to say, like, as soon as that trailer showed up, and I think the first time they showed that trailer was around the Game of Thrones finale, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I went like, oh, this is what they're planning to do when Game of Thrones is over. Because, like, it looks that high quality. And, like, Watchmen is, like, a big nerd thing, like, to take the place of Game of Thrones, which is big fantasy dragons and stuff. So, yeah, I'm, like, kind of really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and they did a good job with Game of Thrones with doing this, where they made it accessible to people who might not necessarily know what Game of Thrones is.
Right.
To be able to watch it and get involved with the characters. I think if they do that successfully, this can be a very big franchise as far as the TV shows go. And it might also help rejuvenate, I doubt they would do a big screen movie at this point. They would kind of just, when they do TV shows, they generally don't be like, oh, the TV show's doing good, let's do a movie. Because they could hurt the movie could hurt the TV show. There's too much of a risk for me. Like, would you watch a Game of Thrones movie? I mean, well, if it was still going on, I guess.
Well, yeah,
for me, Arrow.
Ended.
I wouldn't go see an Arrow movie. Well, they did do that with Flash, but Flash hasn't come out yet. So
yeah, it hasn't.
We don't even know if it's going to come out.
That's for other reasons.
Yeah.
Like why it didn't come out yet.
But it looks great. What were you guys' thoughts on it? I'm not sure if you've got. I'm sure you've seen the movie, but how much do you understand with Watchmen? Oh, one last thing. Recently, they did with DC. They did Doomsday Clock, where the Watchmen got to actually interact with DC heroes. So we find out. Yes, we find out that Dr. Manhattan. Spoiler alert! If you have not read Doomsday Clock, Batman and Flash work together as detectives to figure out what's going on. They find the comedian's button with some blood on it, some other stuff, blah, 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 without getting too far into that. Then you find out that Dr. Manhattan's actually the one who supposedly created the DC universe to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. But, yeah. That's all I got.
No, I think I read a story about that.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into it because I could talk about it for a little bit. But what did you guys think about the trailer, and what are your hopes and dreams for this TV show?
I like The Watchmen. I read the graphic novel, which I loved how close the graphic novel was to the movie. That was amazing. I loved the trailer to this series, and I think it's going to be good. I did a little bit of research, and they're saying it's happening right after the movie.
Okay,
but
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's happening right after the movie, and where what's his name? Ozzy has made world peace. Now you have a group of vigilantes dressed up as Rorschach, and they're following Rorschach's journal. So Rorschach is the only one who knows that this whole thing's a sham, right?
Well,
and now it's what's that?
Owlman, he's still alive too.
Oh, Owlman too, yeah, but he's kind of a punk. But anyway, let's be honest, it's an owl. So you got these group of people who know the truth, and they're dressed up as Rorschach, and it looks like they might be trying to spread the truth. So it's going to be interesting, do you fight for peace or do you fight for the truth? And in this, in this world that they've built, they're not synonymous, and in many cases it's not. So
right.
I'm excited to see how HBO is going to do it. HBO doesn't do too many bad shows.
Right, yeah, like they have a fantastic track record with just original series, period.
Exactly. So, and my girl Regina King's in it. I'm excited.
Oh, who does she? I didn't even realize that.
I saw her in the trailer, and she. I don't know.
They didn't really talk about who her character was.
Okay.
But it looks really cool. The different cults and groups that are popping up in this trailer, and just like you said, it feels like the movie. It feels as gritty as it needs to be. I love the colors that they use. There's always that like kind of greenish tint to everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm studying color theory. I gotta notice these things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm hopeful for the Watchmen TV series. I think it drops, or they just finished season 1 filming in June. And the creators were saying this is going to be more of a remix to anything that's already been introduced. So I don't think it's gonna, because they did talk about in the article that I read, they did talk about the Doomsday Clock and Manhattan going to talk to Superman and stuff, and they don't think it's gonna go that way, but obviously nothing's confirmed.
Yeah, because in the comic book, you wind up seeing these two Rorschachs, and you're like, well, where'd they come from?
Yeah, and in the trailer they kept saying tick tock, so that
Oh yeah, that does sound like they're referencing.
I wouldn't mind a few Easter eggs, even if they don't go into it. I wouldn't mind a few touches, like, hey, check this out,
I personally, I wouldn't like it if they went into the DC universe.
No, I doubt they do that, because if DC universe had been as successful as they wanted to, I think that would have been something more they could have did. But here's the thing that separates Watchmen from Superman. Anytime you put Superman in a TV iteration, it's open to so much skepticism just because of who that character is. Yeah, Superman, Batman, especially those two characters. You put them in anything, they're immediately open to, oh, he doesn't look like this, he should look like that, blah, blah, blah. Watchmen, I don't think faces that particular identity situation where you could put them into this situation. It might not necessarily, I mean, Dr. Manhattan's blue. I mean, how else does he need to look?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to mess that one up.
He's just a blue naked man.
Exactly. Like, if they don't have the same guy who played Owlman in the movie, people aren't going to be like, oh, that's not Owlman. He doesn't look like Owlman should look. You know what I mean? So that's
You'll be surprised.
The key part.
I mean, there's probably a couple people who are going to do that, but nobody's going to listen to him. That's
hashtag Little Mermaid.
That's the thing.
Hashtag Little Mermaid.
Topic for another day.
Yeah.
But all right, so that's our takes on HBO's Watchmen. It looks amazing. But sticking to the visual medium, just recently, season 3 of Stranger Things has hit Netflix. You guys have all watched seasons 1 and 2?
No,
you haven't. Oh wow.
No, I haven't.
Where have
I
you
was
been?
waiting to tell you guys this.
It's been like 2 years, 3 years.
I don't.
So have you watched at least season 1 or?
I almost finished season 1 and I got bored. Yeah.
You got bored of okay. So let's start with this then. Blue, what don't you like about Stranger Things?
Okay, so first thing I do want to say is I can
feel free to troll him in the comments. Just saying.
I feel like I can appreciate the show for what it is and the direction that they took. Virtually, they're taking the '80s horror film and pushing it. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with that. It's just not my cup of tea. That's nothing I really enjoyed growing up. And it's nothing I really enjoyed today. So I think it's a good show, but it's not on my fandom list.
I mean, because I don't like horror, period. Like, at all.
Yeah.
I'm not a horror fan.
I don't watch horror movies.
And the series that they're kind of drawing the most inspiration from is actually Stephen King's It.
Yeah. And
so, I didn't watch any of that as a kid either. Like the reason I just mentioned it. The reason I watched it was because I found out it was kind of cosmic horror related after playing Bloodborne. So it was only the new movie that I saw. Right. So Stranger Things didn't give me the same vibe as like cosmic horror stuff, but it kind of is now that I'm thinking about it. So really I guess that's what the appeal is. Like this kind of like somewhat scientific, somewhat magical, yeah. Like,
but you wouldn't think of it as magic. You'd think more of cosmic or
right, like
abyss related.
Yeah, just like kind of like just existential unknown. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
So and the characters I thought were like really cool and funny. Like,
they
good
are
writing on that show. Like, I mean, it's not doing anything like super amazing. It's just like a bunch of smaller elements that are all high quality that mesh together. At least in season 1. Season 2 was a little bit less so, but I still enjoyed the story it told.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock on anybody that likes Stranger Things. It's just not on my repertoire.
Gotcha.
I feel like you need to give it like a chance. Go in with an open mind. Okay.
I did. That's how I almost finished season 1.
He did say he almost finished season 1.
I didn't care for it at first, but I watched it a few times, and it gave me that Zombies Ate My Neighbors type, are you afraid of the dark?
Right, kind of like
it gave me that
campy popcorn horror.
Exactly. Like, here's these group of kids, my plan would have succeeded if it wasn't for these pesky kids type situation going
3
on.
p.m. Nickelodeon.
Yeah, so it felt good, and then like you said, the characters were unique and different. You had a very diverse group, especially around the time that the movie takes place. You had a little black kid growing up, you had a little Jewish kid. He looked Jewish. He had a lot going on, and it was pretty cool.
I will say another appeal that's different, right? I'm from the West Coast.
Right.
Yes, I know. It's surprising. I'm from the West Coast, and a lot of horror stuff always happens on the East Coast or somewhere on that side. So I don't even really identify with these cats. Like Paranormal Activity, all that stuff, I've watched a couple of them. I'm like, well, that's what y'all get, and it's over there. They had one Paranormal Activity that was based in Southern California, and I stayed the heck away from any movie theater. There was no way I was going to watch that thing because I know that was going to scare the bejesus out of me.
So it's a location thing. It's like
that's another, yeah. If I can't identify with
he's a locationist.
That was another factor. Like I can't identify with the area, the setting. I don't really like the genre itself, but I'll definitely recognize the quality of it. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Fair. Well, season 3 just dropped. I want to say I'm like halfway into it. Without giving any spoilers, Jeff, have you actually started it yet? Season 3?
I'm on episode 3.
Episode 3. Okay.
Yeah, it's working out to be pretty good. The one character I don't like kind of stops me from watching it sometimes. The whole California bad boy.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Fake Shawn Michaels looking dude. So like,
yo, it's funny you call him a fake Shawn Michaels because I'm like, yo, he looks just like Zac Efron, but not Zac Efron.
Yeah, like,
the character Billy.
Yeah, like who is this guy? Like, get him out of here. Like, no offense, but the second season, I felt like he was just like there for no reason.
That's kind of my vibe. Like, second season was kind of a downtrend in certain aspects. Like, they did a couple of things that I didn't understand. It seems like maybe they're trying to tie some of that stuff from second season back into season 3. So it's kind of maybe validating some of what they did. But overall, I do think season 3 is going better than season 2 has so far. Like, I like the pacing.
Yeah, it especially started really good too and I like that they grown a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
There's that growth into it where now you're touching on teenage stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's that stuff is just as interesting as the actual like horror elements and like the mystery that they're trying to solve or whatever. Like just their interpersonal interactions with dealing with kind of growing up and possibly drifting apart. Like this is a very tight-knit group of friends and you're starting to see them clash heads with just being, personality wise. So like that, all that stuff is super interesting. I'm really excited to get to the end of it and see. Do we know is this like supposed to be the final season?
They haven't said yet. There's never been any type of announcement where say, "Hey, final season of." I feel like that would be something that they would market as, "Hey, final season of Stranger Things."
Right. Okay.
And they haven't.
You're right. Yeah. So I would guess there's probably going to be a season 4 at some point. But I haven't got to the end yet, so I don't know exactly what happens what happens justifies that. But I don't know. I think it's going really good so far. Anything else you guys want to add?
How do you think it's going, Blue?
I think it's going. I'm hearing a lot of,
from
the people that I know that like Stranger Things, there's typically I'm hearing good things about season 3. So
there's a consensus that season 3 is legit.
It's doing its thing. Yeah.
Got you.
Okay. So we're going to wrap things up in terms of TV and movies. We're going to move back into the world of video games and unfortunately not to a very happy place. But this next topic, if you guys aren't aware, there's a recently released game called Mordhau. If you've ever heard of Chivalry, it's in that vein. It's basically like a first-person melee combat, medieval combat type game. And it got really great reviews. It's kind of a surprise hit. It's kind of an indie dev that came out with, kind of a copycat game and did a really good job. So it has a thriving community, but they're starting to get reports that community is especially toxic. Like, rampant racism, rampant sexism, and part of not to say that this is the cause of the toxicity, but one thing that to take note of is all the characters that you can play in that game presently are just white men. supposedly under the auspice that, that's historically accurate. The Middle Eastern knights were all white men. Okay. But the devs were looking to possibly add some female characters, and maybe some different ethnicities. But because of their community, supposedly they talked about
disgusting.
Yeah, they talked about adding in, along with the new ethnicities and sexes, the option to turn all that stuff off. So like you'll be able to switch so that even if some other character is playing like a black character or a female character,
Oh wow,
you
don't
can
have
switch
to see
it. Yeah, you don't have to see it. You can only just stay in
So
your world of white men.
Prejudice is okay as long as you can turn it on and off.
Right.
That is like
Yeah.
being colorblind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I see everybody the same. That's exactly what that is.
Now I do want to clarify that because this has been an ongoing story. Like the people who talked to, I want to say Polygon, and ran with that story. The Mordhau developer said that they weren't PR trained. Like they didn't have anything to do with the stuff that they were talking about, and that they don't speak for the company, and that they've never at any point had an idea to give a switch that'll turn off. And the thing is, it's possible that these guys knew something that nobody else does, and that PR's coming in and saying like, no, forget that, throwing them under the bus. Or it's possible that those guys really didn't know what they were talking about. Like it can go either way at this point.
Yeah, because why would you do the extra work of adding that in just to be able to turn?
Just to be able to turn it off. Like, right? It doesn't make sense.
I
But
can
when
see
you think
violence
about it,
and blood and stuff like that, but like to turn off I don't want to see your color. Switch it off. I feel like that. But I go with them. I don't believe that was something they probably wanted to put in, like an off button for that.
Right.
Just because it doesn't make sense to put something like that in. To me,
I hear what you're saying, and I agree. Yes, it doesn't make sense, but I don't put it past certain people.
Ooh.
I agree with both of you guys, but I feel like the reason why they would even go so far as to do something like that is because of their community.
That's exactly
right.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
So,
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, think about it this way, right? These guys are an indie team. They make their first game, and it blows up. This is success beyond probably what they could have ever hoped for, right? They have an active community. They have forums. They have people who are constantly talking about their game. It just so happens those people are incredibly racist and sexist.
Yeah.
So if you do want to make changes to your game, you want to do so to the community that's kind of, that's going to be to the benefit of the community who are playing your game. So on one hand, it's like, okay, we recognize some people are commenting that there's a diversity issue in the game, but all of our most loyal people don't give a crap.
And they like
how do
it
I
historically accurate.
Yeah, so as a dev,
saying.
I understand how they're maybe between 2 points. They're like, how do we address this valid concern without angering the people who are essentially giving us money? And like, I understand where that's coming from. It doesn't make it any less kind of dirty and despicable for them to kind of cater to a toxic group. So like people have talked to these devs like, okay, so what are you doing to curb the toxicity in your community? And they kind of have responded over and over again with things along the lines of, well, we're going to leave it up to the community to kind of police themselves. Like, and then in what universe has that ever worked? You have a toxic community, and then that community somehow manages to be less toxic. Like,
I think these guys got too much on their plates. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
They got too big too quick, and now they don't know how to balance everything. Their PR is all over the place because it was 2 artists that gave hints to this ethnicity toggle. And then they had to come back. And their statement back, I think the company's name is Triternion. They, in the one statement, they just like reiterated like 3-4 times, we didn't plan to do this. We never have. We never will. Da da da. And obviously, like I said, some people are PR trained, other people aren't. But it's just, I don't know, man. I feel like there was something back there that that they said that was true, and then they're coming back on it.
I feel like
that's probably my guess too.
I get it. You want to be historically accurate, but here's my thing: there's people of color, there's women in the world. Deal with it.
Right. Like, there's no history on the planet that excludes women and people of color. Like what? Like, I don't understand that argument when people say they want it to be historically accurate. Like, so you're saying they didn't exist? Because that's not true.
People still arguing about mermaids though. So
right, like this keeps coming back up. Like people really, like people. Some people really want to live in a world
without
and I think,
people and without women.
And it's like the only. This is getting a little bit off topic, but the only reason why this has been an issue is because of them coming into black people's worlds and stuff, or other ethnicities' worlds, and messing with them, trying to make them do stuff that they weren't doing. But then now they're like, wait, no, let's go back to a time where we didn't have to deal with any of this stuff. It's insane.
The fact that they're fighting for that,
right? Like, why does that make you so angry?
Is indicative of the racism.
Like, it's first of all, it's a video game.
Yes.
You're arguing about the realism of a video game. In what way does it affect you? Like, it's combat. Like the game is mechanically based around combat. If you're fighting a woman, they're not gonna like. What's gonna change in terms of how that woman swings the sword or rides the horse?
Yep.
Like, why is that so upsetting? Like, I can't wrap my head around why that has to be an issue.
I believe that there was a toggle that was talked about, at least in the development, under the covers or something like that, and someone wasn't supposed to say something about it, and it got out, and now they're going back on it like, oh, that wasn't us. That was something else. They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, let's hope they don't go that route, because I think it does set a negative view of their game in particular, but also it lets people think that type of behavior is okay.
Right.
If you're going to add that, so that way people can have that's why we create characters. It gives us a way to kind of insert ourselves or characters that we imagine into the narrative of the games that we're playing. And it kind of makes us become that much more immersive into that particular
role
facet of what we're playing. So it's like, give us that. That's why we do it, because you understand that there's all shapes, sizes, colors, genders, and all that stuff. So when you're telling the people who might not agree with that, well, we'll give you an out. We'll let you be able to turn off.
That's enabling
what you see.
Right.
Exactly. Let's letting them think that their mindset is okay.
It's okay.
Trust me, if they love your game and they paid for and they invested money in it, either they're going to get it together by understanding that, guess what, I got accepted. They're not just going to throw that game away. And if they are, then guess what? Those are the type of players you don't want to be a part of your community.
You don't need that kind of negativity representing your work. You know? Because and that goes to show, like, I really feel like these devs are scared to death of losing the popularity that they got, because they're trying to cater to garbage people. But and
the people in their circles probably agree with those garbage peoples.
That's a possibility, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So when they say, hey, so-and-so, what do you think I should do? They say, hey, put that toggle. They can see it if they want to. We can see ours if we want to. That's what they're saying.
Or we'll leave it up to the community to sort that out. Yeah, like, they'll get it together. It sounds a lot like there were bad people on both sides. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that. It sounds eerily similar to this idea of I'm not going to deal with it because I actually don't care.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to be blamed if it's handled the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or if, you know, and if it does work out, hey, we had a great idea. We let the community handle it.
Mm-hmm. So, honestly, I think that devs should have an active role in policing that kind of stuff within their communities. Yeah. Because they're going to be the ones who set the tone for, like, active, you know, acceptable social behaviors in the game that they play. Who else is supposed to do that? Like, who else if not the game devs? It doesn't make sense. Like, one random player is going to somehow start a movement to get everybody else. Like, no, that has to come from the top down, you know?
Yeah, they have no power to enforce anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know, this person just called this other player all bunch of stuff on voice chat. They then have no type of recourse to do anything about it. I mean, what are you going to do? Hey, don't talk to him like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
No. That type of thing should be banned. They should make a statement on it. whether it's a permanent ban or not, depending on the severity of what that person did, there should be some type of penalty to let them know that behavior is not okay. And then when you don't set that precedent, you give the idea that you believe that this stuff is okay.
Agreed.
You're absolutely right.
So we're gonna move on.
We're just like, yes, indeed, verily.
Verily.
Ditto.
So
Ditto.
we're gonna move off of that subject and move into more Google Stadia news. Apparently, was it Phil Harrison, the CEO right now of Google Stadia?
Yeah, that's right.
Gave a little talk and explained that they're aiming to have Stadia exclusives be as fun to watch as they are to play. What does that mean to you guys? What do you think he means when he's trying to get that
means
across?
that we understand that we had no exclusives that we showed, but we're going to give you a promise that when we do have them, they're going to be amazing. It reminds me of, I was watching a documentary, The Toys We Make, Star Wars. The movie was coming out. They wanted some toys. They didn't have enough time for production. So what they did was they made a box that had pictures of the figures, and you could buy the box. And when you bought the box, you would be one of the first people to get these figures.
Pre-orders.
Yes. So basically, you're selling an idea that
pyramid scheme
could be in development or could not be in development. I could say, hey, man, I'm going to make an amazing game, and when I make it, you're going to love it. Well, lo and behold, that is true. I don't even have an idea. I don't have a concept. I don't even know what the game's going to be about. But I just want you to know, when I do make it, you're going to love to look at it, and you're going to love to play it. I don't want talk. If you want to sell Stadia, you want us to be sold on your exclusives.
Yeah.
Which is going to define your console.
Right.
You need to show. Don't tell. Show me. Hey, we got this brand new IP from blah, 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 and this is what it looks like. I don't care if it's just a trailer, but you have to present an idea so that way we know there's actually something. In the video game world, we learn that talk, unfortunately, does not always translate to quality product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No man's land.
I feel like I agree. There was a noticeable absence of anything that had to do with Google exclusives. Yeah. When they did their Google Connect, they called it just before E3. But it seems like they still don't have anything to show. They have to be working on something. They just probably don't have anything ready yet. But what Phil Harrison is talking about in terms of watch as they are to play is the uniqueness of the YouTube integration for Stadia, like the fact that it's a streaming thing. And he basically means like there are going to be elements that make, like, say, watching someone stream that game be more engaging in a way. And go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think going along the same veins as what you're talking about, the Stream Connect Stadia. So that's kind of like a screen-in-screen stream, right? So they
like a picture-in-picture.
Picture-in-picture.
Yeah, they gave that example with
Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it looks interesting, right? Because now this is my question now. Right? I'm playing. Let's say we're playing Destiny 2, and I get to see your guys' screens. We're all squatted up. I get to see your guys' screens while I'm looking at mine, right? I think tactically. Excuse me, thank you. I can speak. Ooh, tactily, it's an interesting and cool idea, right? But that also means that you're constantly streaming your stuff. So there's possible
a lot of bandwidth too.
A lot of bandwidth problems, could come up with that. Also, I'm not sure how I feel about constantly streaming. I stream a lot, right? But I don't want to have to stream all the time. It's a little Skynetty, you know what I mean? You always watch me. Yeah. And Google's already everywhere, so I'm kind of a little nervous.
the difference though, like when we stream now, yeah, we are using our own bandwidth, but the difference with Stadia is we're streaming the gameplay, so it's kind of like Netflix, where all we're getting is the video feed, right?
Right.
The stream that goes out to, like, say, other people is going to come from Google's data centers. That's not coming from us. So that's what makes that so possible, because you're getting a seamless view of the other person. Because the thing is, that's only going to work if everyone's playing that game on Stadia. Like,
right.
If this is a crossplay situation, and, like, say I'm on Stadia and I can somehow play with you on Xbox or whatnot, assuming that's a thing, I could maybe stream my picture to somebody else who's watching us, but the Xbox wouldn't be able to do it.
Wouldn't be able to pick it up. Exactly. Yeah. So unless there's like a Stadia plugin, which I highly doubt they're going to want to throw up on there.
But yeah, the thing is, like, he's talking about extra functionality that you'll get with Stadia that you won't get elsewhere. At least not yet, because honestly, Microsoft could copy exactly this with their data centers and their cloud servers and stuff. You know? So we don't know yet. They haven't given us too many details. But I still think it's worth waiting and paying attention to. Like, they don't have anything to show yet, but this is just one example of what they can do with that cloud streaming service, that you can kind of just stream all your other friends' screens onto your screen and vice versa. Like, that's cool in and of itself, but that's just one idea. Like, what else can they do with that ability that could make us watching somebody else play a video game more immersive, more interesting? Like, say it's an esport, like, you can get maybe different and better angles. Like, who knows? Like, the thing is it's too nebulous. Like, I'm very excited and interested to see what they can do, but just like Jeff said, like, they got to show us. You can't talk about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that's going to make me want to pledge my allegiance to the Stadia.
Right, yeah. Like, all of it is amazing conceptually.
Yeah.
But I need to see what you're, like, what are these amazing ideas that you have? Like, what are you doing with this fantastic technology? Show us. Like, I'm still waiting for that.
I feel like they wanted to hit the ground running, and they came out a little bit earlier than maybe they should have. So, because a lot of their stuff is in development. And what was the release date for?
November is the beta, and then sometime in January is like the actual release.
They got 4 months to pull this together. They got 4 months to hype up people to buy consoles.
Well, to hype up people against buying consoles.
Yes.
Sorry.
Against buying consoles, their concept.
Yeah. They got 4 months to do that. And we ain't talking about Google lovers. We're talking about gamers.
Right. And that's who they want to take a piece out of.
And if it's good, it's a right time to do it, because it's a little before the next consoles come out next year. Because then you're not in so much of a war with everybody else.
Right.
Right now you're just in contest with yourself. So you just got to execute and show people what you have to offer, because next year it's going to be
all out war. Yeah. Like, we know for a fact
winter is coming.
That Xbox's Scarlet is launching with Halo Infinite.
Winter is coming.
Like, that's a launch game. We don't know what Sony's launching with, but I'm sure they're taking a year off E3. They probably have something big that they're going to throw on that console too. So
if they don't, it's the end of Sony.
Google needs to compete. They need to show us something big that you want to play on Stadia too. You know, Nintendo will be there. You know what I mean? Like,
they will.
They'll be fine.
Nintendo's focusing on software and not so much focusing on the hardware, it looks like, and that's not a bad thing, because the Switch is still very early in its lifespan. And we want more Switch. I think Switch is a great idea, and I think it can at least go, to me, for another 2 years at least.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the new Breath of the Wild, whatever that's going to be called.
Right. Yeah.
Just saying.
I wonder when that's going to release. But anyway, getting off topic. Anything else you guys want to add about Google Stadia?
No. Can't wait to see more.
Likewise. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for our topics today. You guys liked it so much last time. We're going to go back into the Get to Know Us section. This week's question. Top 3 video game protagonists. Who wants to go first?
Now, I just want to reiterate to our listeners and our viewers that we don't think that these are the top 3 overall, like of all video games ever, this is our experienced
Personal.
top 3.
Personal.
Our
Yes.
personal top 3s.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't get mad.
It ain't mad anyway. So who wanted to go first? Who has?
I mean, I
their
can go
3?
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So not in any particular order. Corvo Otano from
Dishonored.
from the Dishonored series.
Really?
Interesting.
He is one of my favorite, just because of how, bad beep he is. I'm playing as him was like, hey, spoiler alert, you guys killed the queen who he was secretly having relations with, had a daughter, and here he is, kicked out, wanted, and here he is. He climbs back on top to get revenge, not only in one game, but 2 games, and raises Elizabeth, which is his daughter, to be just as he is. So it's like, yeah. And they make him kill you in like 100 different ways with the particular powers he had from the, what was the guy's name? The
Outsider?
The Outsider, yes. I'm about to say the Beyonder. I'm like, wait, that's the wrong situation. Second was a hard choice for me.
Okay.
The reason why is because there's so many protagonists I enjoy, but this one I think took me through the whole lifespan of the Xbox 360. And that's gonna be my man Marcus Phoenix.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yes. Marcus
Of
Phoenix.
Gears of War fame.
The Gears of War.
What do you like?
No matter
about
no
Marcus
matter
Phoenix?
what Marcus got into, he got out of it. Everybody else died, was laid to the wayside. He destroyed the Locust, not single-handedly, but if he wasn't around, everything would have went to the poop. He had to go against his own. Exactly, he had to go against his own military. He kind of had to do things his way. He lost his dad. He lost his best friend. Somehow he had a son. I don't remember. Didn't get to see who the mom was, but he had a son. So Marcus Phoenix, chainsaw wielding, lancer using, he did it. He stopped the Locust, and he saved humanity.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, like when you think about it, like he went through a lot over the course of those games. Like some people like really kind of downplay the story side of the Gears of War series, but it actually told like a very compelling and like sometimes emotional story. Like it was kind of about like friendship. Like
it was because of Baird. You had
like that.
Carmine was interchangeable. Yeah, you had the whole team.
Coltrane. Like those guys were like funny. They were interesting. Like they had cool dynamics, and Marcus was their leader. He was like stone. He was like kind of stone faced, but. Like they had like funny back and forths and stuff.
That strong chin,
right?
Yeah, and his character made that game. Combat was great and everything, but his characters to me make the game, and he was one of those characters where you knew he was going to do what it take to get it done, and he got it done. Now, third was a very, 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 very challenging. Pick for me, and I just had it in my head, and I just lost them.
Do you want it to come back to you?
Yeah, come back to me. It just
left.
Can
I make a quick confession real quick?
Go right ahead.
When Jeff said Marcus Phoenix, the first thing I thought about was Phoenix Wright.
Oh, man.
That's why my reaction was so like,
oh, man.
Objection.
I get that. Oh, I got it now. I'm back.
All right, go right ahead.
The Ashen one from the Dark Souls series.
Oh.
Now, the reason why is because the Ashen one was whoever you made him. Whoever you made the Ashen one, that's who he was. Had some questionable choices throughout the game sometimes. But whoever you made him, that's who he was. He was the undead, pretty much. And it was your job to rekindle the bonfires and set right what was wrong and push back the plague. To me, it was kind of reminiscent of Zelda, where each iteration was a different Ashen one who was awakened to kind of fulfill this role and do what you needed to do.
Basically like kind of just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
Exactly. And it was like, hey, here's this blank canvas and do what you want with him. You could build him however you wanted. You can use miracles. You can use pyromancy. You can use magic. You can use strength. You can use dexterity. you can make him however you want. And the stuff that he had to go through, I'm not sure a lot of protagonists would have been able to go through and come out okay. You know,
Dark Souls is a rough story.
How many protagonists could die and come back that many times? Number one, okay, and not many, because sometimes you just get that one death, especially if it's you get a permanent death. On top of that, the bosses that you had to fight as your particular character, some of those bosses were like ridiculous. For me, one of the hardest bosses was the Dragon King. Lightning Spear, rode a dragon.
Right, yeah.
And
the Nameless King.
Yes, he was ridiculously hard.
I remember that fight. We did that fight together, actually.
Yes, we did. We did. We did it a few times, actually. That's true. That's true. So those are my 3 protagonists. What say you guys?
You want me to go, Blue, or you got your stuff?
You go ahead. I got mine, but
you're savoring it.
I did actually put mine in an order. My number 3, I'm gonna start at the bottom and go to the top. Would be Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay.
As you know, Mortal Kombat has a whole lot of ninjas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of them are cool. Not all of them. Some of them are not as cool. But for whatever reason, I gravitated to Sub-Zero. Like the idea of an ice ninja. Like, he has the ability to manipulate ice. He can turn it into swords. He can freeze people. And then, like, the fact that here's a confession. And you've probably heard this before. But I, for whatever reason, love stories about brothers. Like, I have 4 brothers. And so stories about brothers, for whatever reason, just always click with me. And that's Sub-Zero's story.
Opposite.
Really?
That makes me cry, man. Like, every time. Because I think about my little brother. I was like, I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, well, I mean, whether it's like brothers who are getting along or brothers who are fighting, like when it's about like brothers situations, like I'm tuned in for whatever reason. And that's Sub-Zero's story. Like the earlier Sub-Zero. Matter of fact, the fact that it's a title and not just a person. Like he's like the top warrior of the Lin Kuei clan. That's who Sub-Zero is, right? So you had the older one who was killed by Scorpion because of that whole situation, and then the younger brother basically coming back like, I need to revenge my brother, but then finding out that his brother is like an evil spirit, and then they have to face off against each other. I'm like, man, this is crazy.
It was.
So it's a really good story. Sub-Zero I found to be like just a really overall cool character, pun not intended. But so that's my number 3, and I like ninjas in general.
Even in the new game, he's pretty cool.
Right? Yeah. His voice actor in him and Scorpion got like dope voices.
On point, yeah.
They have amazing voices.
Yeah.
I really like that. But so that's my number 3. My number 2 is not Mega Man, but Mega Man X.
Oh.
I'm a fan of the X series more so than the original. The older school Mega Man is a little too boyish to me. Mega Man X is like, this is a 20-something revolutionary. Like, he has a job to do. He's like part of like a military outfit that has to go out and get these Mavericks. Like, he's a hunter.
Pays his taxes.
There's no taxes in the year 20XX. But yeah, like, he was just like his design. Like, he's like such a cool looking guy, for lack of a better word. But like, yeah, like the fact that his job is to hunt down these guys, so he's kind of an assassin when you think about it that way. But then, and when he, gets his mark, he then takes their abilities. So he's just evidently like just getting stronger and stronger every time he beats something. And like, he had that friendship with Zero that, like they put up like they're best friends. Like they share like tech, they share like secrets and stories or whatever. I don't know. I just gravitated more so to Mega Man X. Like when he gets his upgraded armor, like he just looks. First of all, he looks super cool as base Mega Man X, but then he gets the upgraded armor and then looks even cooler. Like, come on.
Yeah, he looks dope. Yeah,
he looks dope as hell.
I know what your first is gonna be, just so you know.
I mean, yeah. So my number 1 pick, of course, is Link from the Legend of Zelda series.
Yeah.
I figured it out right before he said it. I was like, wait, what?
So
how you know?
So one of the like, aside from the games themselves being amazing to me, the thing I like about Link as a protagonist, like, yes, he's silent, he doesn't say anything for whatever reason, but he still kind of has this character that's unique to him. Like, he's like duty bound. Like, he's an honorable dude. Like, he's a little maybe naive. He can sometimes be portrayed as kind of dumb, but he's never gonna shy away from his duty. Like, it's thrust upon a child in most of the games. Like, this is a kid. It's up to you to save Zelda. It's up to you to save this castle. And like, when do you don't see him like there are some stories where the hero's journey,
protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. The hero's journey. That's part of the story, is where they have to answer the call to action because like they're reluctant at first. Link is never reluctant. He's like, this is what I got to do. Oh, all right. I guess let me get the stuff I need,
let me
get
a stick.
Like,
let me get a stick.
Hey man, go fight the monsters.
Right. He's the true embodiment
Give me a
of the
stick and some
Triforce of
nuts,
Courage,
and I'm good to go.
some Duke nuts.
Some Deku. Deku, I'm sorry. Some Deku.
Yeah, it's a little different.
French Link. So like, yeah, like he's the true embodiment of the Triforce of Courage. Like, it fits him better than anything else. Like, and it's like the odds are always against him. Like, there's so much in Hyrule he has to fight against, and he keeps overcoming. He keeps, acquiring new skills, new abilities, new weapons, and then he keeps showing up to the fight to get the job done. Like, that's very inspiring to me. On top of him, being a young kid in most of the games. Like, even when he's like older, he's not older than like 20 something. He's like maybe 19 at the most.
Yeah.
So he's always like a really young kid who has like impossible odds to overcome, and he doesn't shy away from the duty. So that's my top 3: Sub-Zero, Mega Man X, Link from Legend of Zelda series. Blue, what you got?
All right. So I got the protagonist from Saints Row, the whole series. You come up. No, real talk. Because I started playing Saints Row 2 seriously. I played the first one, but I didn't really get what was going on. I was like, oh, this is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it was.
The first one is absolutely terrible. Yeah, it was a Grand Theft Auto clone, right?
Yeah,
but the second one, Volition was like, you know what? Let's do our own thing. Let's be wacky if we need to. Let's focus on character customization, and let's make the story about you in the city with the GTA aspects. And I think they did exactly that, and it paid off tremendously. At the second one, you're an escaped convict, and you come up to end up running your own like city. And then in the third one, you're running this huge corporation, and you're coming up to pretty much being president and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. And then you end up being like a galactic savior.
It's basically like the Fast and Furious
it's the Fast and Furious of the video game world. And it's ridiculous, but you know it, and you're pushing through it, and it's actually really good pickups along the way. Like, you acquire these characters. The characters that are in the last game, you met them in the second game.
Right,
and you picked them up when they were just like street trash, you know what I mean? And you see the come up, and it's super cool. So Saints Row protagonist, that's a lot of fun. That's my character.
All right.
And I'm huge on customization, so I'm trying to steer away from it, but I got one more custom character. The Exile from Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So that's your character.
Not Dark Riven? I thought, no?
No, the fact that you face all these major entities and interact with them is so cool, and how it affects your character, and your relations with everyone. Because BioWare is huge on story, huge on character relationships with your squad, just like you've seen in Mass Effect, just like you've seen in Dragon Age, right?
Oh yeah, shout out to Shepard.
Yes, yeah, that was definitely one of those. That's number 4 or 5. But that was the first game that I really experienced it, and knowing that, can I spoil this game now? I'm trying to think.
Like that game is like 20 years old.
I know, but it's so good.
That game is like 20 years old, like legitimately.
I know.
Spoiler alert for Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Turn it off if you guys are watching this. The person who helps you cultivate your powers from the very beginning, and they found you and stuff like that, they end up being the biggest villain, and you never really figure it out to the very end. And it's super cool how you're picking up on these hints. Now the whole game is based on like a D&D like stat system. So whatever you specialize in, it steers how many conversations you can have. If you could just intimidate someone from brute force, if you could charm them on your side, different things like that. So kind of like what Jeff was saying earlier about Dark Souls, you really make the character who you want and just push through the story in your own way. I love that about Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2. And my last one is not a custom character. Ezio Auditore de Firenze.
That's a good one.
Yo,
he's a
he's
suave
so
dude.
smooth.
Not to say he's like the third best assassin, but go ahead, continue.
I'll give you that. But he
might be, yeah.
Yeah. But he was one of the most fun to watch.
He was. Out of all of them, I think his storyline.
He added a style.
Was the most
He added a
popular,
style to what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Altia
None
was
of
all
it felt
business.
gritty.
Right.
He was so clean with all his movements. Even when he was dumbfounded, you know what I'm saying? He kind of poised himself and found his swagger in whatever situation he was in. Ezio was cool, man. I like watching him. That was what's up.
He was so cool that he actually ended up being in Soul Calibur.
He was.
Yeah,
right.
that's true. And he was really good at Soul Calibur too. Oh my gosh, yeah.
He also was in a CG movie, like a spin-off CG movie.
There was an Assassin's Creed CG movie.
I can't remember, like Embers.
It was about the
Embers.
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed Embers. It was about like a Chinese assassin who sought him out.
Yes.
Wow.
And then he basically gave her the okay to like start Assassin's Guilds like elsewhere and stuff.
Because it was an older version of Ezio.
Yeah, he was like older. Like it ends his story. Like the games kind of end his trilogy, but that movie ends Ezio's story. So, and it was actually really good. So
it was.
Find that if you haven't seen it. Assassin's Creed Embers, I believe, was what it was called.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that. I wanted to give honorable mention to Adewale, still in the Assassin's Creed.
He's like the
Freedom
first
Cry?
black man
Freedom
assassin,
Cry.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because Aveline was the first black one. She was a woman in
in Louisiana.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the Liberation. Assassin's Creed
Yes,
Liberation.
Liberation.
Liberty.
Yeah.
It was on PSP, and they made it for console. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But Adewale, I loved him because he was in the Caribbean and he was chopping up, slave plantations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was super cool, and I identified with him a little bit because being Jamaican, my dad loves machetes, and that was his main weapon. And so I was like, "Oh, cool! I could play as a crazy young version of my dad."
I mean, Adewale is a Nigerian name though, but
it's true. I didn't say he was Caribbean, but he was in the Caribbean.
he was in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Yes. That's what Black Flag took place. Just so you know.
Exactly. Yeah. This Freedom's Cry was the DLC for Black Flag that became so popular they sold it as a standalone.
It was good.
It was
good.
It was. Yeah.
Did that?
So yeah, those are mine.
Did Freedom Cry do any of like the mythical stuff?
No.
No.
They didn't start doing the mythical stuff until you got to Origins. Actually.
Origins. Yeah.
No, because Assassin's Creed 3 did it with Connor.
Yeah, but they weren't mythical. They were.
You sure? I could have sworn he had like bear powers and stuff.
That was kind of more towards the Indian.
Yeah, it was like they were like doing like Native American mysticism stuff.
What was that one called?
That was Assassin's Creed 3. Period.
Well,
but
then
they had the DLC where they did alternate reality where
American,
George Washington was like a tyrant king.
Yeah.
And then like Connor could use like these kind of magic Native American powers or whatever. So maybe they weren't like enemies, but they definitely were going into kind of more.
They did touch on some of that
elements.
That was the only one I did not play. I did read the story, but I did not play it.
Oh, you didn't play 3 at all?
Didn't play 3 at all.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I actually skipped Unity. I played a little bit of Syndicate, and then I haven't touched the latest 2.
I liked Unity only when I was fighting with my friends.
And that was very limited.
Yeah, it was super limited.
But definitely check out Origins if you haven't already.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right. So
I know I ended up naming off 4, and I had another honorable mention. I'm not gonna lie.
No, what is it? What's the last one?
My last honorable mention was from a JRPG, Tales of Symphonia, Lloyd Irving.
Well, I actually played that game, and that's an RPG, and I didn't finish it. I stopped playing at the first little. It was like an ice dog fight, boss fight.
Yeah. That game came on 2 discs.
It did.
At the end of the first disc, things get flipped upside down. Like everything you were working towards, you're like, oh, I almost ended the world. Let me go back and reverse it.
So you literally turn your discs upside down to keep playing?
Exactly, Jeff. Go ahead
Boom.
and do it to
Oh,
all
man.
your console stuff.
All of them.
If the first game don't work, just do it on another one.
Boom. Just keep trying.
No, but it was really cool. Like he kind of matured throughout the whole thing, and then in the second Tales of Symphonia, he came back. He wasn't the focus, but he was a villain. And like for the first half of the game, he's a villain, and you're just like, "Holy crap! Why is Lloyd trying to kill me?" And this is the Lloyd that I built up to be this strong and stuff like that.
Man,
that's cool.
Yeah,
like, maybe I shouldn't have made him so strong.
Exactly. Yeah.
The thing that I always remember about Lloyd is that he had the exact same voice actor as Robin from the animated series. So
yeah.
Like that. Like it's the same. I think it's the same Robin from Teen Titans Go, even like from regular Teen Titans. Like
so,
it's that guy. So I like Lloyd mainly because of that. Because I like Robin.
Yeah.
But all right. So that's gonna do it for our Get to Know Us section this week. Thank you guys for showing up. That's gonna be the end of episode 7. We hope you enjoy it. We hope that you tune in to our streams going out over the course of the week. What are we gonna have for them this week? Do you guys know? Do you know what's on schedule? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Maybe?
For the most part. I'm doing Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
I'm excited about that. I'm going to push
14.
us through some Shadowbringers, that DLC.
So that's Tuesday.
DLC expansion, excuse me.
Monday, what are you playing, sir?
Yeah, Wednesday I'm going to be back on with Starboy doing Sigma and Son. We're going to be playing more Super Mario Maker 2. He is absolutely in love with that game. He told me the other day.
I can't wait to see it. It looks great.
Yeah, because it was somebody in the chat that asked him on stream what was his favorite Mario game. And he gave like 3 different games. Later in the day after stream, he was like, "Daddy, Super Mario Maker 2 is my favorite Mario game." I'm like, you know what? I believe you. I believe you.
I thought it was interesting that they took a contracting spin on a Mario game. I was like,
hilarious.
Just when you thought they ran out of ideas.
So that's going on Wednesday. What's going on Thursday?
I am trying to find out if Cataclysm is going to drop on Tuesday.
Yeah.
If it does, I will be jumping into some Cataclysm and exploring that. If not, I'm going to do Apex. I'm sorry. I'm going to be doing Apex.
Ooh,
so
season 2 drop, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some new stuff in there. That's cool.
Yes, we got the new hero that came out. So we will be doing some Apex or some Anthem, depending on if Cataclysm came out, because I definitely want to get into Cataclysm and kind of explore that. So if you definitely want to hear some more of our insight on video games, anime, and everything nerd, definitely check us out throughout the week. And then we're back on Friday with Free For All Fridays on Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if it's on Overwatch. We don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Y'all be killing me with that.
Free For All. Just put Free For All. I would like
Free For All Fridays.
Gears. But we don't get it. We gotta get enough people.
We can make that happen. Or Free For All Forza. See, even more alliteration. Y'all gotta get with it. Y'all be trying to play Forza 4. Free For All Fridays, Forza 4. Look at all the alliteration you get.
Put it on. It's on Game Pass, right?
Yes, it's on Game Pass.
Put it on the schedule. Let's do it.
Put it on the schedule for next.
Put it on the schedule
for this week. Let's do it
for this week. We'll get it on this week. We'll get it on this week.
But Saturday, are we gonna have anything from Crit Zone?
Yeah.
So Saturday they're gonna
last time Crit Zone they be switching games. They did Rocket League yesterday, and then they switched over to Apex. So they're always just a ball of fun going wherever they do, going over wherever they go. So definitely check them out Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
And then what's next Sunday?
Super Smash Sunday.
Sundays.
So definitely join us for that each week. Check the BBET Gaming YouTube channel to see all of that good stuff after the fact. Some of the weekly streams end up on there later, or maybe not at all. We don't know. But if you wanna check out the best of our content, check out that YouTube channel. All of our what do you call it? What are we doing right now? Podcasts. All our podcasts. All our podcasts end up on there. A lot of the group streams end up on there, and pretty much every Super Smash Sunday ends up on there. So definitely check that stuff out. Please do subscribe. We need the numbers up to try to get us in the higher tiers of what we're trying to do for you guys. So we really appreciate all any and all support. And also, I wrote an article for our good friend Ashley Diaz's website, thisislevelup.net. It was concerning some stuff in my The Sinking City review. Definitely go to her website, thisislevelup.net, and check that article out. It's also on somewhere on my Facebook page. But you can find me everywhere on social media at SigmaGears9. Check out Sigma and Son on Facebook. And again, check out the BBET Gaming YouTube page. Jeff, where can people find you?
Hey, catch me on Superman Jeff Plays on Mixer as well as on Facebook.
True Blue, where can they find you?
You already know you can find me, y'all. BLUB0NESXB. That's my gamer tag. That's my Mixer tag. And you can find me on Play with Blue Bones on Facebook.
That's what's up. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace.
Deuces.
Tryna get them and forget it. Shaking my head, these niggas that don't speak. Tryna get bread, your niggas in deep sleep. At least I'm woke, nigga, I'm a beast, at least I know. Whoa. Tryna get rid of me, but I am the epitome of a city.